Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It must be Thursday night because I am in your living room, and this is Born Political. Today we have guests that are, again, I'm very excited. I'm always excited because we're meeting people in this community that are doing really, really good things. My good friend Matt Schulman reached out to me to tell me about this program that's happening right here in Groton. We have mentors that are paired up. We're going to talk about how they get paired up, who they are first, the mentors and mentees. And I just want to welcome everyone to the show here tonight. And John Silsby, I know, I misspoke on his name because it's not my fault. He was the director of of Parks and Rec when I was on a RTM, was replaced, and even not the person that replaced him, the one I thought might have. He has moved on as well. But John, welcome to the show. And
thank you, Joe.
I did not do my studying. I forgot your name.
Jean Doyle.
Jean Doyle.
Yes. And
tonight we're gonna talk about the program that they work in. But this is Born Political, and because we have two guests, we thought we were going to have four mentors tonight. But with two, I think we should get in a little bit of who you are. And I'll start with you, John. Who are you? What brought you here? And
Joe, thanks for the invitation. I've been a resident of Groton for the past 25 years, and I came here in 2000 to accept the job as Parks and Recreation Director for the town. Retired 14 years ago, and I love Groton. I stay here. I'm happy to be involved with the community. You can see my Rotary shirt. I been mentoring almost since the day I got here, with the exception of the COVID years. So, but great community, and
it is.
Mentoring is a wonderful program.
Are you a homegrown Connecticut guy, or are you from?
I'm actually from the western part of New York State, Buffalo, New York area.
Oh, okay.
Tonawandas.
Way up there, where they grow snow.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This is like moving to Miami over here.
And normally on Born Political, I say Born Political, everyone thought it was like a political hit show. To me, it was more of finding out who people were, and a lot of it had to do with where they were born in the country, where they were born in the order of their family, and then we would move on from there. So to give people an idea of, especially when you were running Park and Rec, like, who was that person? Where are they from? Running a Park and Rec, and you get a better feel for the people around town. And we won't do that today because we do have two stories to tell here today. And I will have you back on the show as a Rotary member. You're also that. But Jeannie?
Born and raised in New Britain.
Hard-hitting New Britain.
Hard-hitting New Britain. And my husband and I raised our daughter in Clinton. And then she was married at the Branford House at Avery Point, and we fell in love with the area and bought our retirement home on the 17th tee of Shenecasset.
Wonderful.
So my husband plays golf, and he wanted a southern golf course, and I said, I'm not moving that far away from our only daughter.
I hope he's happy with his decision.
He's very happy. He's very happy. And our daughter and son-in-law followed us here a few years later.
Yeah.
We've been here since the end of 2006. And they have a daughter who's now a senior at Fitch, and she was starting kindergarten at Kolnaski, and she had gone to preschool and nursery school in the Hartford area, and she wasn't going to know anybody, so I volunteered, and she happened to have Jen Anthony, who runs this program, and I've been volunteering 2 days a week ever since, other than COVID.
I've had a lot of people on the show. I said I don't know how many shows exactly I've had. Usually, in my case, I was brought here because of the Navy. My grandfather joined the Navy. I think many people would share the story that I share, that we were here because of the military. I've never heard that we had a wedding.
It's different.
And I fell in love with it.
Different.
That's great.
We fell in love with the area.
Yeah.
It
And
really is
was
beautiful.
it kind of one of your first times coming? Was the actual wedding?
We knew there was a Yukon Avery Point. My husband went to Yukon.
Yeah.
But we were not aware of the beauty of the area and just fell in love with it. So I said, this golf course works for me if it works for you.
I love the story.
And he's very happy.
And I'm forgetting, I don't know all my holes, but I'm going to apologize for something I did or in the future that I'm going to do, because
It's near the water.
Okay, I don't hit the ball too well.
No.
I never hit your house?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so it's okay. So I'm not.
But
I apologize.
he goes out and he finds all the loose balls. We could retire and go to the Caribbean to live with all the golf balls we have.
Excellent. So a lot of times we try to find out why people started. I think that we know your reason right now, John. What? And I know you've been a community guy your whole life. Did someone call you up? How'd you find out about the program?
Well, actually, before I came to Groton, I was involved with starting a Rotary program, and actually, before I came here, I was a member of the Rotary Club of the Tonawondas, and a couple of years before I left there, we started a mentoring program, and so naturally, when I got here and ran into Sharon Schick, she said, we have mentoring, and I said, sign me up. It's gone well. I had one student that went all the way up to high school. In fact, he was over in New London going to high school, and I was actually going over there for a few months to mentor him over there. And then, of course, COVID came along and messed everything up, but Jen came to a Rotary meeting and promoted it, and I said, I want back, and actually my wife, she joined at the same time. So both of us are mentoring
And we talked about this off camera. So folks, if they wanted to get involved with the mentor program, there's some hurdles to be able to be part of it. And you were jokingly saying how you had to be fingerprinted, but you did have to be fingerprinted.
You do.
I think.
You do now, right?
So it's something that they do a check on, and it's the world we live in. So you got past that hurdle. I was glad to see that, John. That you passed the background. You're legit. So it makes me feel safe here at the show today. I have two people that have been vetted by the Groton Police Department. But all joking aside, so you get in, and what's that look like? So you're a mentor, a mentee. Do they match you up based on anything other than your interest, or is it just something that there's a kid that needs a mentoring and you're joined? How's it work?
For me, it was, I had already, been there and I'd had this little girl, and Jen, she had now moved on, and Jen said, would you like to mentor her? And I said, sure. So, I've just stayed with her, and she's delightful. I hope, as long as my health is good, that I'll follow her through at least middle school.
Yeah.
And we go from there. But, there are other children who I've worked with in the classroom who've lost their mentors.
Yeah.
And it kind of breaks my heart. But I also realize there's just so many hours in the day. I can't take on, 3 or 4 more kids.
You're one cog in the wheel,
yeah.
and you have to understand that you're that one cog sometimes. But
Right.
it's simple to
Right.
it's simple to want to grab and help,
Right.
but you got to know your limits. And so is the mentoring? Is this like schoolwork and helping with homework, or is it a little bit of?
No, it's really not.
No,
It's
not
not.
at all.
No, it really isn't. You're not intended to go there and help them with their schoolwork. If something may come up, they may have a question, fine, try to help them, but it's basically an opportunity to give them a good role model.
And connect.
Build some self-confidence. A lot of them come from single-parent families,
Yep.
And they don't have a male or a female figure in their lives. I feel like you're just trying to build on positive situations that you have with them, and if something comes up that's positive, you really work on that. But doesn't really involve schoolwork unless unless they have a question or something
Right.
that you can.
And if they
help with.
needed it, you would certainly help if
Certainly.
that's what they said. If they, came to the table and said, I'm really struggling with, could you help me out? Well, then we'd go to the library
Yep.
or we'd do something. I brought along a lot of things that I used with my granddaughter, and this little girl was fascinated that I had like a small suitcase full of crayons. And she said, but a lot of them are broken. I said, yeah, but they still color.
Yeah.
So, we do coloring, we play cards. This past year, her math brain just exploded, and
Yep.
we were doing multiplication with cards. We draw 2 cards, she'd add them, and then we draw another card, okay, multiply. And she was on target. It was fun.
Yep.
We play word games. It's just, a time to let her talk, and we go from there.
So I think when I first heard mentor, I think when we think adults interacting with school age children, that's all going to be curriculum and based.
No.
So if someone's out there and they're watching the show and they're interested in mentoring, we know that you better make sure your thumbprints are okay. But once you move past that, what would you expect? So if if you're walking in and you're mentoring for the first day, what does that day look like? Are you meet them with the parents, or do you meet them at the school, or?
Well, to begin with, they match you, Joe. You fill out an interest survey, they do, and if you both like sports or you both like drawing or whatever the case may be,
okay.
they kind of match you. And then, in my case, Jen or each school has actually a representative at the school that you deal with directly. They sit with you initially and break the water, break the ice, and get us going, and then essentially, you set up the schedule when you want to come. It's essentially the same time every week, and you go through the process of going into the very secure school system that we have here, and get checked in, and they have actually a whole closet full of games, things that you can play with, and as Gene said, some kid may want to play cards all day, some kid may want to draw. I actually had 2 children last spring, and one of them was just happy to sit and talk and play different card games with me, or sometimes I bring in small board games.
Yep.
The other kid, all he wanted to do was draw, so we kind of start with a few card games, try to get a little conversation going, and then all of a sudden he'd be drawing and I'd be kind of challenging him to, can you do this, can you draw that, and and so you got to be flexible.
You do.
Yeah.
You do.
You got to be flexible and kind of adjust your scheme to how the kid responds.
And I think we started a youth group at Community Speaks Out, and at first I was watching it, and these are all a group of kids that have been affected by addiction. So I walk in on day one, and we dropped off pizza, and I just kind of want to listen in to see what they were going to talk about, and the teacher was talking about nothing that we had, and they were drawing and just doing things. And I left and I told my wife, I said, they're really not talking about addiction or how they're being affected. And a lot of times just the talking and the connection part that really is what people need.
And that's what they need.
Exactly.
And it's, this past year, what was good for me, there was another mentor there, and there was very limited space. And she had an older boy who was in 5th grade, was delightful. And we worked together with the kids, and we just enjoyed being the 4 of us.
Yep.
And it was really a nice situation. So it's you wing it at times, and you take your cues from the students that you get matched with.
Yeah. So if there is someone out there that said they wanted a mentor, what are they? Is this all happening during the day in school?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. So
Yes.
this is
completely within the school. You're not supposed to have contact outside of the school.
Oh,
No.
okay.
It's strictly,
Technically, right.
Technically, yeah.
Right.
Yep. I mean, I can imagine that you become friends with possibly the family and the children, and
They do have that nice dinner at the end of the year,
Yeah.
and the parents are invited. I have yet to technically meet this little girl's parent, but it's been things that have happened that, yes, I'm coming, but then they couldn't, whatever. It works. I just happened to bump into them at Big Y this past week,
okay.
and it was all of a sudden I heard this, Miss Jean, and I turned around, and she's getting taller and taller, and I said, what's going to happen as I get older, I get shorter, and you're going to be taller.
Yeah.
I said, by the time you leave Kolnaski, I'm going to be looking up at you.
Yeah.
So it just is, it's nice to see her.
Yeah. So a lot of it is what kind of time you have, and what kind of time do you put into it? Is it once a week or twice a week, or how to if you're doing multiple children, or it obviously it's double the time, I would
Right.
guess. But
Right.
what is the time?
It's just once a week.
Right.
Once a week,
Once a week.
and with the younger kids, it's half an hour, and they extend a little bit with the the high school age kids. But virtually, if you live in town, it might be a whole hour of your time, once a week,
Once
just
a
getting
week.
there and coming home and mentoring, and and the school staff has been extremely cooperative. If the student isn't there, you can check in with the guidance counselor that's in charge, and they'll tell you, and so it's the school system is really, at least where I've done it, it's been extremely supportive.
Right.
From the beginning to the end, which makes it nice, because it seems like they are glad to have you there, and they're, you're not imposing on what they're trying to do, which.
And you guys, you may not know the answer to this, but how do how do they identify a kid or a family? Is there something they send home in the beginning and say, hey, if you're looking for a mentor, or is it just random, or how do you?
I think when it initially started, they were looking for kids who weren't receiving services. So, for example, a special ed student is going to have services,
Okay.
and they're going to have lots of connections. This initially was for kids who fell between the cracks.
Yeah.
And, their classroom teachers would recommend them, that this might be somebody, and then, of course, the parent would be involved. And then if the parent gave the permission, then they would seek a mentor for them.
Okay.
But, it really is, it's enriching. They make you smile.
Oh yeah.
And it's, that's little ones. I know high school kids might not make you smile as much, but
They can.
They can. Yes, they
You
can.
try to make them smile.
Yes,
Which in
yes.
some cases
Yes,
is
it's
somewhat
hard.
of a
Right.
challenge.
But-
And we live in a tough area when it comes, because I grew up in London and I had never lost a friend to moving away. New London, I think a lot of the Navy folks choose to go stay on the side of the bridge or go up to Ledyard, or some on this side.
Right.
In any case, my grandson, who was in second grade, his first day of school today, I was just told that two young girls had to go inside and get a teacher because he was out by the tree all by himself and he was crying. And yeah, I can't even
know,
talk
I
about
know.
it. But come to find out, my daughter went and had a special play date because there's a young kid, and he's only moving to Westerly.
Right.
They are Navy.
Right.
And he's going to experience losing friends just like all these kids in this
Right.
area do, because inherently the Navy folks
It's
don't
gonna
get to
move.
stay for 8. They don't stay for the whole 12 years.
No.
It doesn't happen. But it's to me, and I thought about the show tonight, and we have mentors, and maybe somebody on the outside, maybe he would have benefited from that. But they really do alert the kids better. The two girls saw him crying. They went and got a teacher, and then they talked it out, and they even made my daughter aware. They're gonna try to do another play date this weekend. But and I told my wife, said, I just don't want him to ever be hurt. And I'm like, you know what, he needs to. Kids are gonna feel that.
Right.
People are gonna move and move on, but it's
Right.
how we deal with it and how
Right.
we help. And
And if you're positive about it,
Yeah.
that's what you should be. When an issue comes up, and I know it's easy for parents to get upset and rant and rave and whatever, but what does that say to the child? If you keep it positive for the child
yeah,
and move, behind the scenes, get the best resolution that you can, that's far better than if you blow it all up and make it worse than it is.
yeah,
And I'm glad those girls, they did the right thing.
they did.
Yeah.
And John, how many children have you mentored? I mean, I know you said you were doing it before you even got to Groton at some point, right? And do you have a number in your head, or is it?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, if you are doing a job that works for both of you, they could keep you all the way through. You could start in kindergarten, be a mentor for 12 years.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever lasts that long for anybody, at least not in my experience. But,
Yeah.
I've had them that have lasted 5 or 6 years. And the current one I have, I've actually started at Catherine Konaski, and now next year I'll be going into the high school. So I think it's got to be maybe the 5th year I've been with him. And hopefully we'll go through high school. I had a kid once that they gave me, a second one, that from the beginning he didn't want to do it. You're intruding on my studies. I can't get my work done. It's like, and it wasn't like we weren't happy doing things together. He just didn't want to be there, be part of it. And, after trying for a while and sitting down with the guidance counselor at the school, we talked about it and we decided that, it was the best thing that he not have a mentor.
Yep.
So, and his personality was completely different than the boy I've been doing for a longer time. So
Yep.
it's really experience, for us to, work with different children with different personalities and different outlooks on life and everything else. So it kind of, even at our age, you kind of learn things and grow from them.
Yeah.
My age, not your age.
Yeah. My age.
I'm close.
Is there a moment or a mentee that kind of sticks out where you'd say, and I'm not saying I'm trying to hook people that are watching today, but is there an experience that you'd share that you'd say that, there's always something that makes you want to do it again or come back, and obviously you've been doing it for a long time. Is there?
Well, the one I have now, you got to work to get him to smile.
Okay.
You know, last year, his mother thought that this was intruding on his core courses, and she told him he had ended. And he was in total tears about that. So, you know, which means I guess he really wanted to spend some time with me, which made me feel wonderful. You know, that you know, I had a meaningful part in his life. So it, I mean, you have those types of experiences. You know, that was kind of, you know, he was very sad, but fortunately, the guidance counselor cleared the situation up with the parent in a hurry, and the parent said, keep him going, and, you know, a year later, we're still doing it. So it kind of, but, you know, just getting him to smile and getting him to communicate, you know, in the beginning, it's about like 2-word sentences, so, but now much more expressive and much more self-confident, and, you know, and, you know, and you in theory, you're not, you know, probing into their personal lives, but in the end, they share a lot of their personal lives with you, and, you know, and that, you know, that's a real impact on your.
It's a gift.
Yes, it is.
To be part of someone's life like that. And
yes.
I'm going to call you Miss Jeannie because that's what your student did. And I know you've had some moments, right, Miss Jean?
I've had a lifetime of moments because I was a teacher.
Oh, yeah.
It just, it's rewarding. You're helping them get through. It might be a bad day for that person. And my little one has had some bad times. And it'd be like, okay, we're going to work through this. And, you know, one day she told me I'm having horrible dreams. So I told her about bad dreams that I had when I was little. And I said I would force myself to wake up. And it was always the witch from The Wizard of Oz. She was coming to grab me. And I said I would just wake up, and that's how I would end the dream. And I said, so when you're having a bad dream, just say, okay, wake up. So she told me, it works. I said, yeah, it does.
That works?
It works.
Why do I not know
this?
this?
Works for
I
me.
needed a mentor.
Oh, okay.
Why did I not know that? I feel like that would have been a pretty good trick for me.
Right.
It is true. Once you wake up, you realize. But you know, you have those dreams where you wake up and you still think it's true.
Right.
And that's until you kind of get out of the groggy stage.
I personally think it was my brother and sister telling me these things, that the witch was coming to get me, but maybe not.
Yeah, and so we are trying to expand the program, and we know that we have more kids than we have mentors. That's
definitely needed.
It's the case in coaches. It's the case in everything in everyday life. I think there is a big difference. There's a lot more opportunities for kids to play all different sports all throughout the year, so that accounts for some of the coaching going down. But also, people are getting busy, and when they say it takes a village to raise a family in a community, I believe that. I believe that's what you guys are doing now. What would be your pitch to a mentor, someone that's thinking about it, or, you know, wondering? I think a lot of times people think, again, I think the time barrier may have been broken today, because if people are talking about going there for an hour, or, you know, that it is possible that you can have this impact.
From the time you leave your house, you go and you meet with the student and you leave, it's an hour.
Yeah. As long as you're not crossing the bridge. Right?
Well, that's true. That is true.
Yeah, if it's in New London, you're in trouble.
Yeah, if it's in New London, you're in trouble. So probably the first thing would be mentor close to your home or work.
Right.
Right. I think even if you worked at Electric Boat, you could take an hour off once a week and go do that. I think there are opportunities.
I'm sure there are.
You know, is there another pitch John, what would you say to someone that was thinking about it?
Joe, you know, we talked about how thorough they are in terms of you signing up to do it, but they also provide a lot of training, a lot of support if you need that support.
Yeah.
You know, as I said, there's a great guidance counselor that works with you at the school. So, like the problem I had with the kid that really wasn't interested, we sat down, you know, and solved it together. So that there's good training, there's good follow-up. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, kids need good role models. You know,
I do.
We're lucky. You know, I had good parents. I'm sure you guys had good parents that were good role models, but that unfortunately isn't always the case. And you know, it's having a positive adult role model in their lives is
It isn't a teacher, or it's somebody from the outside. a stranger. And I think it's good for people who no longer have children in the school system and don't go to school themselves to go back into a building and see what's going on in today's world.
Yeah.
It's far
That's a good
different than
point.
it was in the 1950s,
Yeah.
in the 60s. So it's, you know, it's an eye opener, and that helps you as an adult to see, you know, what are the pressures that people are facing, and young kids and the teachers and whatever. And you're seeing your tax dollars at work.
Yeah.
I think
You know?
that's a great point. I think the further you get away from using the services, the more you forget how important they were to you.
Right.
You see that every day on the internet and in comments that people make. I love that part of it. Now, if you signed up today and you were a brand new mentor, what is the timeline from becoming a prospective mentor to becoming sitting down with a student, like after you fingerprinted? And
I would say it's fingerprinting is quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
The both
right
police
now
departments.
they start at the end of September, so I mean there's kind of
Right.
a delay at the beginning of the
right
year.
now,
but,
yeah,
but you
because
can
they want
probably,
the kids to get used
Yeah.
to their, you know, new teachers and
Yeah.
system, you know, whatever their specials are, and then we'll start at the end of the month.
yeah. I mean, if you know, if Wednesday's your best day, they usually can
They'll
make
find
it
it.
happen on that day, so it's not, you know, running
you
into
get to pick
something
and
that you
choose.
have to keep changing your schedule for,
Yeah.
which
So-
is nice. So, but
So if you signed up, you do it'd be possible that at the end someone was out there right now, because they are short. And how short are they? Are there?
I think I heard there's 75 that need mentors.
I don't think I think it's like 25 or 30, isn't it?
Okay, then I'm wrong.
I think there's 75 that are doing it
Okay.
currently.
Okay.
But I mean, there's you know a couple dozen kids that could use it.
Yes.
Which
Yeah.
you know, and every year they add one or two, and I'm sure one or two
Right.
probably drop out at the same time. So
And I'm guilty of this, and I'll admit it. But in the time that I probably spend scrolling after work on my phone, you guys have shared an hour of your time with individuals that may not have had connections.
Right.
And you break it down, it's that simple. I've gone to some really cool meetings where people shared their stories, especially working in the addiction, being part of that. And I'd sit there and think, wow, there's so many people I just watched Wheel of Fortune at the time that I just learned this about this person in my community.
Right.
And this is a great opportunity when people ask, because if you're feeling helpless, I think this is you're probably looking forward to your Thursday or whatever day that it works out for you.
no, it's fun. I mean, it's enjoyable. You know, knowing that you can have an impact on a young person, and of course, teacher, recreation director. You know, young people are part of our lives all the way through our careers. So we probably didn't get involved with them unless we liked young
Right.
people to begin with.
It's probably far different as an experience as a mentor. You said it's the same, but there's a lot of different ways probably where as a
I
teacher.
never played cards as a teacher.
You didn't have time.
Oh, I didn't. No, that's true.
You're right. You were
That's
writing the
true.
curricular,
That's
correcting
right.
papers,
Right.
and now it's probably a different
Right.
perspective. And we are down to our last 30 seconds, and I just want to thank both of you for being on the show. I also want to welcome them to come back anytime they want, if they want to share their stories with probably doing something else. I know John is a member of Rotary. We're going to have him on later on for that. But this has been Born Political. I'm excited. We have a full slate coming up these next few weeks. We have candidates that are running and a couple other local groups. I know Always Home is going to be here coming up. We look forward to sharing their stories with you, and we'll see you next Thursday here on Born Political. It's good seeing you. Have a date.